for the money. Do not attempt this at home. Doing so would only expose just how useless and brainless these people really are.
Because if we didn't give him a job, he'd probably be dead. It's The Stansberry Show. Rock 1069.
Welcome to Wednesday morning on The Stansberry Show on Rock 1069. I almost feel like renaming the show at this point. The Stansberry PSYOP, man. You cannot get away from that term, PSYOP. We're probably going to have to mention it only 10 million times today. Turn PSYOP into a drinking game. If you're paying attention to any media whatsoever right now, the term is getting a little obnoxious. So at 9 a.m. this morning, the PSYOP passes out. Your first Rock the Bank keyword. 9 a.m. this morning, grab that $1,000. Not a bad way to break up the week there. Start hump day out with an extra bonus $1,000. I'll get that first keyword passed out 9 a.m. We're also going to take a look at the state of Oklahoma, because Oklahoma is going to try to ban pornography. They're going to try to ban porn creators. They're going to be paying some fines, maybe doing some jail time if they get their way. We've talked about a porn ban in this country a couple of times on this program. My guess is this will not be the last time. I read through this a little bit yesterday. I can understand people wanting a little bit of this. I don't think you want the law. I think you wish what I kind of wish sometimes, that all people, ourselves included, and I would have to have my hand raised in this, we're using a little bit more self-control. Now, we may not. We tend to suffer from not being able to, use self-control in a lot of areas. Waistlines, browser histories, there's a lot of them out there. Oklahoma's looking to legislate what you can look at, what you can create, and I think this may backfire a touch, so we'll talk about Oklahoma. We'll get there coming up at 9 a.m. this morning. Also, like I said, be rocking the bank with you there as well. At 8 a.m., this will get us into that conversation. There are a large portion of people, mostly recent college grads, who were recently polled, who have told us they believe you and I have too many personal freedoms. Now, see, it's interesting because these are young progressive people telling me that we have too many personal freedoms. And yet those same people are going to be yelling at the lawmakers of Oklahoma about limiting people's personal freedoms. So at the end of the day, can everybody kind of get together and figure out what the hell it is we actually want here? Because I feel like everybody does a good job of saying, but you're not really holding, they're not really holding their mentality across all of the issues, or at least not enough of them. So we'll take a look at whether or not you and I have too many personal freedoms. There are things that we're allowed to do that are permissible that I'm like, I'm shocked by that. I'm a little shocked by that, right? I'm a little shocked that hasn't come to an end. So we'll talk about that just a touch. We'll get there coming up. I had boldly said something about TikTok about 9 months ago. I told you there was going to be coming a war between TikTok and the music companies. I said these people are stealing this art. They're putting it out on their platforms. They are selling products while using copyrighted art in the background against the damn law. And sooner or later, this is going to come home to roost. And sure enough, 3 massive music companies came together and said, we're going to war with TikTok. We've had enough. What they're trying to do is create a music business without paying for the proper rights to the music. And that's exactly what they're doing. That's exactly what lip syncing to somebody else's song is while riding a skateboard and drinking Ocean Spray. Remember when everybody told you he was going to be on the next, printed paper money? Absolutely nobody remembers Ocean Spray Guy. Nobody. Bye-bye, Ocean Spray Guy. But, man, did he get a little length out of that Fleetwood Mac song, right? And I kept saying, we're using people's art to sell products, to increase engagement, and you don't have the permission to do that. I remember saying this is why people are running around right now buying up the rights to music catalogs, because they're going to shut the goddamn faucet off. This is one of those things I've been talking about, why physical copy of art is so important to me and should be important to more people. It is becoming more and more important. I noticed the video game industry is going through this right now. Just the other day, Bethesda and Xbox, actually PlayStation 2. They're a game developer. And they came out and said, get ready, physical games are over. we're done. We're not doing this anymore. And the whole community freaked out. I saw every gaming website, the comments, freak out, oh my God, what's this? Oh my God, evil corporate CEOs. I said, what about all that music you streamed? Why is that okay? You're perfectly okay accepting your music this way, but you don't want your video games this way? Is it because you started to figure out that they control your music too much and albums kind of show up and then disappear, or you get a little Mandela effect because they start editing verses out of songs, and what about this and what about that? And nothing's the same anymore? So we'll talk about that because, again, 3 major music distributors are going after TikTok, as I told you that they would.
Here's what's next on the Stansberry Show.
All right, so I watched something yesterday and I can't shake it. Are you what they refer to as dumb money? You might be. I am. We'll talk about this next on Rock 106.9.
He's a man of many talents, but he doesn't have the talent for keeping quiet.
The Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9.
Rob Zombie, Alice Cooper, and Blossom, that August 28th. Now, the important part is that you're winning your way in at 8:45 this morning on the show. 330-450-7625, the number you'll need then. Now, that number you can use all throughout the program to text in. Take part in the conversation. Also at 9, I'll rock the bank with you. All right, so I watched a movie yesterday, not a documentary, but a movie. And it circles us back to something I have said in here so many times. And I may have done a bad job of explaining what it is I meant. And this movie did a pretty good job of laying it out. Most of you have heard about this scenario because it was all over the place when it was going on. Especially those of you that are addicted to Reddit, and I have always said, like, Reddit is where most things are breaking first, at least back then, for sure. If you're seeing something for the first time on Facebook, it's probably a day, 2, if not 3 or 4 days old. Reddit really is, their tag used to be the front page of the internet. That was like their slugline. And it was true for a long time. There might be somebody faster out, better out now. I mean, welcome to, how fast that stuff flips over. But anywho, a movement kind of kicked off there and YouTube by the same guy. It was Wall Street Bets. And this is the GameStop. Like the squeeze that they wanted to put on investment firms. If you work for a large corporation today, there's a better than average chance that an investment banking firm owns a large portion of the place you work at. Not all, maybe, but there's a good chance that they got a significant interest in your corporation. That freaks people out. The whole corporate raider, Gordon Gekko thing makes people a little weirded out, puts people on edge. And people have been talking for years about, dude, what makes this dangerous is you got guys who don't understand industries buying into industries and making decisions, and they don't understand what they're doing, and they don't care as long as they make money. People have been a little bit right about it. So Keith Gill, a basement YouTuber, saw value, and I don't know how he saw it. I'm not a market analyst, but he saw value in the GameStop. Like their stock, which is a hard thing to say a bunch of times. It was like $3 and change. Now I looked this morning before having this conversation with you. It's about $14.85, I think, at close yesterday. But during Wall Street Bets, I think that got up as high as like $400 and some dollars. And what Keith had been saying on his YouTube channel was, these guys don't understand this business. They think every gamer just downloads new games. And he even says, a good portion of them do. But 25% of gamers then are still all about owning the physical copy. There's money to be made here. And his big thing was, I just like the stock. Right? And he became he became famous. The White House had to address Wall Street Bets. The investment firms, he shattered one. One closed, literally, because of what happened. They were laughing at him because he is a single-person investor, or what the industry refers to, apparently, I'm not going to pretend I knew this before Wall Street Bets all went down, but apparently they refer to that as dumb money. because you're gambling your money in the stock market willy-nilly and you don't have a guy in a cardigan telling you what to do. So you're risking your money with no real plan or system. Now, if you just say it like that, it kind of sounds like, well, yeah, I bet that probably would not work well for people who don't have a lot of money to be risking in the stock. That's why most people go with a, standard guy. They get a nice portfolio. You diversify a little bit. You get some blue chippers, and then you just kind of sit for 20 years and hope that it all is sitting there when you go to retire. And this kid, young guy, not kid, but young guy, pulled a bunch of people together via Reddit, got them all interested in it. They all started buying the stock, and so the value went. And investment banks lost, billions of dollars. In the movie, the guy borrows $3 billion from another investment bank, and he still lost the firm. It still went up. This story was the American dream, and it makes me feel like an idiot. We were in here talking about this, and I was timid. I'm invested. I have mutual funds. I also have a personal brokerage account that I downloaded an app, and I use Schwab, but that's not who I started with. They swallowed up the company I started with. And so they moved that over to another company. Not that that matters at all. But I got a couple of different avenues at this. But I have what they would call a dumb money account. I do. Now, I've tripled one of my investments, NVIDIA, which it's all over the news right now because of Nancy Pelosi. But, I own NVIDIA products, and so I believed in that company, and I bought it. That's a whole separate thing. But all along the way, they start showing you in this movie, he's telling people, hold, don't sell. People were turning themselves into millionaires in the evaluation, and they wouldn't sell. And the movement online became, don't just cash in for the money. This is about something else now. This is about class warfare now. And that's what circles us back to something I've always said in here. People have laughed at me when I've said this and I think it's partially because I did a bad job of my profession, explaining what I meant. And that phrase I always said was this: when I saw how powerful the internet was, I can't believe they gave it to us. And dumb money's what I meant. The organization of the person, the organization of groups together to fight things like this together, the solidarity of it. That is, let me rephrase that because it's an important distinction. The potential for the solidarity there would be frightening to anybody in power if they didn't know what we were going to do was spend all day on OnlyFans and make TikTok videos. But you see, a couple of things like this. When I saw that, I was like, I should have totally been in this. But then as I continued to watch the movie, I felt guilty. I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm willing to bet a lot of the Wall Street Bets people are happy I didn't. Because long before it got to 400, I would have sold off, taken my, bag of coins and ran with it. Because you don't know what tomorrow holds. I wouldn't have been in it for, the greater good of toppling the man. Because they did. They took down a couple of investment banks. But not them all. There's still more than enough of that money floating around everywhere out there. But it hit me yesterday as I was watching that. I was like, this is what I always meant. This right here. That the potential for us to actually win real honest-to-God battles versus argue about whether or not Taylor Swift is compromised, man.
The Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9.
330-450-7625 to text the studio. 845 will get you into Rob Zombie and Alice Cooper. That show also has Ministry and Filter on it. And August, Blossom, and I'll get you in at 8:45 this morning. You hear a lot about how social media has made people less intelligent. I don't even think it can be denied what it has done to attention spans. Now, I don't think the attention span of the human was ever great, right? Probably never as, as strong as we should have it, or maybe that we thought we once upon a time had it. But I do think I've seen mine get worse. Some people I work with, for sure, I've seen theirs get worse as well. I would have to imagine this has probably happened to you or maybe somebody that you know. Yesterday I was telling you a story about a kid who was, 24 years old or something. Indiana, I think, but he had been a convicted felon. And he decided to go on social media and post photos of him holding a gun. It's like, you're not allowed to be in possession of a firearm. And like, people mistake this, I think, sometimes, that because it's called your timeline and my channel, or whatever people refer to it as, that you're under the impression that only the people who are following you are going to see this. And that's not the way it works. The algorithm says, oh my God, a lot of people are pressing like on this. Let's get it in front of more eyeballs. That way people stay on our platform versus close out and go back to Zuck's. That's kind of how it works, right? So like, they're trying to keep you in the wormhole there. And so like, the more something gets liked or shared, then it gets spread out. And anybody who thinks something they post online, even like, well, I pressed private. Oh, did you? Oh, did you? Ever notice we get text messages in court cases all the time? People thought, I mean, like, nothing's private. Privacy is gone. We traded that for cool, shiny stuff like 25 years ago. It's over. Privacy is over. We gave that up. Bye. See ya. Gone. Bye. So we were talking about that kid yesterday, and people go, what an idiot. And I was one of those people going, what an idiot. But we're talking about a 24-year-old convicted criminal. I don't know how smart I'm expecting him to be. I bring it up because of what's happening with a Nevada judge right now in social media. This, kind of crazy. A Las Vegas judge who ran for office is under fire because of some things that she posted on social media. One of them, I think, is just kind of minor, and it's like, well, all right, for a judge maybe, but for anybody else, this would have been no big deal. The other one, however, maybe not. So apparently this judge went to a music festival. I'm fine with that. Judges should be able to enjoy their life. There are going to be music fans. They're going to be, right? So like, I'm totally fine with it. So there's a music festival out there called Life is Beautiful, right? And apparently she had posted what they're calling inappropriate. Life is still beautiful despite the fact that Billie Eilish doesn't start for 30 more minutes and I have an 8:30 calendar tomorrow. Apparently then she posted that to Instagram with the hashtags vacate the S out of custody cases and where in the world is Carmen Sandiego. Now without the hashtags, I don't really have a problem with it. Even as a judge, really. At the end of the day, everybody thinks about, like, man, I got to wake up and do that tomorrow, and I really wish I didn't have to. I don't really expect a judge to wake up every day and go, going to the bench, man. Can't wait. You know why? Because I have a job you are absolutely lucky to have. It is a privilege to have this job. For sure it is. You need talent. You need all that. For sure. I've worked hard. Absolutely. But it is still a position of, like, man, you're pretty lucky to have that. There are plenty of days I wake up and go, I have zero interest in going in there. Now, I know at the end of the day, yes, I do. I just don't feel like it right now, but I'll be, you know what I mean? But until she put in here, vacate those, I don't really have an issue. And even after that, I'm like, all right, she's being dumb, and that's not the best thing to do for her position. And she should expect some pushback, some blowback here. And she's gotten more than a little. They have filed against this woman already. Now, here's the other social media. She is seen in a hot tub with not one, but two, apparently, public defenders. So people are talking about, is she competent? They don't mean anything, but everybody knows they mean something. Right? And there's a little bit of the same thing here. So you don't think it being in a hot tub is all that big of a deal? All right, cool. Your neighbors bought a hot tub. You come home Friday night and your wife's already in the hot tub with the guy next door. Is it a big deal? Why? Because it's a hot tub, right? And it's like, it brings in that vacation mentality. And all of a sudden hands start wandering. And hey, why is this being put in there? And before you know it, right? Like, why do we just feel like that? It's like, there's something about the warm water where it's like, we're in the Pound Town now, we're going, right? Like, it's kind of just one of those things. Maybe it's too much porn, who knows? Maybe it's those bad 80s ski movies on Skinamax, I don't know. But like, there's something about the hot tub that makes people feel like what I do here isn't a problem. And so I don't know if a judge is posting that to her social media, like compromising herself, if I should then expect criminals to be any smarter than the person who's supposedly supposed to be locking them up. The world has gone mad. Like, if a judge doesn't understand that you can't post that to social media, we do officially have a problem here.
Live from the Hall of Fame City. And just as bad as NFL officiating. The Stansberry Show on Rock 106.9.
Welcome back to the Stansberry PSYOP. I've been compromised, man. I'll be passing out that first Rock the Bank keyword worth $1,000. We'll do that at 9 a.m. You know, as I joke around about that a little bit, you know the ratings for the Detroit-San Francisco game were on par with the Kansas City-Baltimore game. One had Taylor Swift, the other one did not, and the ratings pretty much dead in line with one another. She's there for the ratings. Okay. If you say so. By the way, don't forget to get real mad and post on social media how furious you are about how many times they showed Eminem. You know, since Eminem actually erupted the entire place into one of his songs, and Taylor's yet to do that at one of the Kansas City games. So don't forget to get all mad at Slim Shady now. Don't forget to get mad at Marshall. No? Yeah, I don't know. That's weird too. I don't know. Really strange. Out of Middleton Township, Pennsylvania. This story was a little wild. It was uncomfortable when I read it, actually. But a man has been charged with murder after his father was found not just dead, beheaded, and found in their family home this Tuesday night. The victim's son, identified as 32-year-old Justin Mon, I believe. 6abc.com is where I'm pulling this from. He's been charged with murder and abuse of a corpse. Some other charges they're going to throw at him as well. I feel like the murder and abuse of corpse those are the headliners there. He's accused of, wait for this now, not just beheading his father. That would be bad enough, right? Absolutely. But he posted the video of him committing the act to YouTube. This has been a little bit of a theme throughout the program this morning of foolish things people are doing on social media because there's just been this, I don't know, erasure of media site, whatever. So officers then end up showing up at the 100 block, they say, of Upper Orchard Drive. This around 7 o'clock, I believe, last night. After the victim's wife came home and then discovered the headless body covered in blood. Jesus, imagine walking into that. Just pulled a double at the diner. You're hoping to come home and, wash the billy off of you. You know what I mean? And then just sit down and watch some TV. And there's a beheaded body laying in your living room. Oh my God, terrible, right? The victim in his 60s, and sure enough, the cops found him dead in the upstairs bathroom. It actually happened to be, not the living room. According to the police chief, Joe Barbarilla, Mon fled his father's vehicle. He took his father's vehicle and took off, which at that point, dude, you beheaded the guy in the house. I don't know, how far do people really think they're going to get? You're going to be the only suspect. The wife wasn't there. And a lot of times when people die, the cops will tell you, check the spouse first. I'm going to guess most times if a man has been beheaded, they're going to say, I don't know if the wife did that. Not that a woman can't behead a man or behead their victims. I'm sure it's happened probably 20, 30 times. But when you heard somebody was beheaded, you thought a man did it, right? It kind of feels like news, they say, has seen part of the video where the man identifies himself, sure enough, as the son. Guess what am I trying to do there? I'm trying to apply logic into, oh, I'm crazy, I better get out of here. I would have to imagine, right? Now, Mon also referred to himself as a militia leader and called his father a traitor to the country for being his cell phone. A little unclear where the person of interest was. Again, that's their police chief. Said the son lived inside the home on the where it was on that street, and the father not. A little sooner or later, the conversation is going to come down. Giving everybody access to post whatever they want without an editor whatsoever is a good idea. I think sooner or later that conversation is going to come up, and I've said before, I think I know how one of the ways the world could see mass destruction And it's when the government finally does stand up and say, Stansbury's been right for 30 years. We undervalued what happens here. We undervalued the destruction that happens here. We're taking the internet away from you. And then when people realize, dude, that you're being shut up on a real level like that, and it goes social media blackout because we can't organize, we can't get together, we can't do stuff like that, and they tell us it's because of the greater good, because of things like that, you could see mass panic and mass pushback. I don't think it's happening tomorrow. But if you tell me that movie type scenario happens in this country within the next 10 years, would not be shocked about that even a little.
Give Stansbury a piece of your mind. Use the talkback feature on the iHeartRadio app. 1069.
9 a.m. this morning, paying off your credit card debt going to get a little easier. I'm passing out a $1,000 Rock the Bank keyword. Now, we'll continue those all day, but you're first at 9 a.m. Also, going to take a look at the state of Oklahoma. They're trying to restrict porn viewing and creation in their state. So we'll get to that at 9 a.m. as well. Although I've been saying I'm going to get to stuff all morning, and things just keep happening around me, bumping some of these things off my list, off my rundown. As I didn't see this till this morning, and I apologize about it. But the White House now has announced that the President Joe Biden is in fact going to visit East Palestine to mark the 1-year anniversary of when they had dealt with that train derailment. As of this article I'm reading from news5cleveland.com, the date of that visit not been announced as of yet. If they've put that out since this has been updated, I apologize. I'll take a look during this next break and see if they have done that. It says here that the president will meet with residents impacted by the derailment and the hazardous chemicals that were spilled as a result. He's also going to address his administration's progress in working with state and local leaders to protect the community and hold Norfolk Southern accountable for their actions. Back in September of 23, President Biden order after the February 3rd derailment. So we're coming up on the year anniversary. My guess is look for that date of that visit to coincide with the year anniversary. So a lot of people are making a lot, really one way or the other, either celebrating this or trashing it. And I don't think it's either. I think celebrating is a little crazy. This feels a little too late to me. But again, this current president, not necessarily my favorite. So is that a personal lean that I have in there? Maybe. Although I feel as if I've defended him when he's deserved it. I haven't seen as many examples of that recently. Okay. But I've done that. But this feels very much like too little, too late. I don't want to speak for an entire community of people, but I'm going to guess that's how a lot of them are going to see it. Not everybody. The other adage will come out as well. Better late than never. May come out there as well. Does it feel optics-based to me? Well, yes, of course. They have gone from, there is no border crisis, the opposition is crazy,